If you've been watching the news lately, you'd be forgiven for thinking that things have settled down in Afghanistan. For that matter, you also probably believe that everything is fine on the southern border and that there's nothing whatsoever wrong with the economy. Sadly, you'd be wrong on all three counts. It's been challenging to find out what's really going on in Afghanistan concerning the ongoing evacuation of Americans and our friends. Unlike President Trump, who used to enjoy hanging out on the White House lawn and speaking off the cuff to answer reporters' questions, not that he ever got credit that he deserved for that, President Biden's White House prefers to put a lid on their commentary. If Joe Biden doesn't have it on the teleprompter to read, he simply shuffles off, stage left. That is, if he can remember which way is left. And when that happens, it's up to the Pentagon and the State Department to speak for him. But they've abdicated their responsibility as well. As Kyle Becker reported on Sunday, the White House has implemented a virtual news blackout. Good luck finding out anything from them. There is zero chatter in the White House about getting American citizens out of Afghanistan, tweeted Jack Posobiec, the senior editor at Human Events. A White House official told him that they're acting like they're not even there. Why would that be? Multiple Pentagon sources independently confirm that the White House counsel, through the National Security Council's legal department, told multiple federal agencies and departments not to respond to Afghanistan correspondents, with more guidance to follow. In other words, just ghost any media outlet that's seeking information. Of course, the mainstream media are showing no curiosity. When White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain appeared Sunday on CNN, he was never asked one question, not one, about the planes on the ground, not even if Americans were among those being held on airplanes at Mazar-e Sharif International Airport. He did say that about 100 Americans remain in Afghanistan, and the administration is working on getting them out. On Fox News Sunday, Texas Congressman Michael McCaul surprised host Chris Wallace by revealing that 6 planes loaded with Americans and Afghan interpreters and other helpers had been sitting for at least a couple of days on the tarmac at that airport, and they were prevented by the Taliban from taking off. He said the Taliban wanted something in exchange. Texas Representative Ronnie Jackson has said that Friday on Newsmax that the airplanes are there, everything is ready to go, but they can't get out because the Taliban won't release the flight until September the 9th because they want to be recognized as an official government. McCaul said it was guaranteed these hostages would be held until the U.S. gives the Taliban what they want. As for Ron Klain's assertion that about 100 Americans are being held, California Congressman Darrell Issa says it is a vast understatement. He told the Associated Press it's likely that about 500 Americans remain stranded in Afghanistan. And that's not including their family members, which would bring the number up as high as 1,000. By not including the families, they're lowballing the numbers. Alec Plitzis, an Iraq War veteran and former intel officer who's part of a rescue mission called Digital Dunkirk, said that in just one day, he'd received 6 calls from Americans who weren't registered with the U.S. Embassy, which is now, I might add, abandoned. Those names are starting to trickle out, and he expects that number to rise significantly. Rebecca Downs of Town Hall reported on the story of Oklahoma Representative Markwayne Mullin's attempt to help Americans who are still trapped there, as told to Fox News' Bret Baier on Friday. Mullin explained that even though they had obtained a humanitarian flight plan from the FAA, they had to keep circling the Kabul airport because requests to land were repeatedly denied. Mullin believes this was 100% directed from our own State Department. As he would be coming in with a large amount of money, Mullin had sought help from the U.S. ambassador, who told him he'd have to go through 16 Afghan checkpoints, and at each one, he'd be charged to get through. Tellingly, the U.S. ambassador also told him that he had been instructed not to help the congressman. Mullin said that when President Biden, the State Department, and others said they'd get everyone out of there who wanted out, it was, and I quote, a bold-faced 100% lie, end quote. The attempt by Biden, Democrats, and the media to memory hold this continuing crisis in Afghanistan, and especially the major role that Joe Biden played in causing it, is nothing less than abhorrent. And I'm going to do my best to make sure they're not successful. You can help me with that, by the way. Here's how. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. Then leave a like and a comment. But of course, only if you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll join me on Friday for another live stream where you can ask me any question you want. I'm not going to be like Joe Biden and put a lid on it. I'll probably regret saying that, but you really can ask whatever you want. And by the way, if you want more of my takes on the news of the day, you can sign up for my newsletter on MikeHuckabee.com. They'll be delivered right to your email inbox twice a day. And you know how much it's going to cost? Nothing. It's all free. I promise. It's free. Finally, YouTube suppressed our video from yesterday. I'm sure you're curious as to why, so click on the box on your left to find out. That's going to do it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.